just recorded a video. We were at the gym going crazy, insane. At you already know the bodybuilder's worst nightmare, Planet Fitness. That video will be up soon. But today we're here to react to what was a first of, I hope, for in the future many events in the Sphere. And I just want to pass it over to you. What did you think about the Sphere? What did you think about how the crowd was kind of shorter on one side? What did you think about everything, man?
No, honestly, I think it was cool. It was different. I like how they. I mean, I can only imagine how cool it would have been in person. I do think that it transitioned, or whatever you want to call it, well, to the screens, but obviously if you're there in person, it's going to be much cooler. I think the way that they did everything in terms of like how they told the story from the beginning of time to at the main event, the future of Mexican fighters and the Mexican culture, stuff like that. I think to be honest, I think the sickest backdrop was the Valentina versus Alexa. It was like where they had the all the best Mexican fighters.
Oh yeah.
The statues and stuff like that. If you guys missed that, definitely go back and check it out. But in terms of the event, I think it was super cool. The fights were good. Besides the main and co-main event, were pretty freaking boring. But yeah, I think for the rest of the card, it stacked up pretty well, and started it off with Raul Rosas and Arori. But what do you think about the Sphere? How did you take it in while you were watching?
I honestly liked it a lot. I think the Mexican fighters showed up, even though they didn't win a lot. I think each fighter really showed up. Obviously the co-main and main didn't live up to the hype. However, I thought the whole gimmick and idea was pretty cool. And I saw Guru's video. I don't know if you saw it. And, I mean, you probably were watching the event. But for some of you, if you were watching the full event, there was kind of like a lot of flaws, like with sounds.
Oh, yeah.
And there was like an echoing when Sugar Sean came out. Just a lot of weird things that happened in between. I was watching it at home and I was like, is there something wrong with my TV? But, Mama Bro KO told me it's got to be that, the quality of the event. But, honestly, I'm not that rich, so I wouldn't know if I overpaid for something, even though I'm sure the UFC's got still billions and billions of money left. I thought it was a great event. I didn't think there was much different about it as far as, like, how the videography went with, recording fights. But I really liked how the fighters, with the tail of the tape, it was kind of on the big screen.
Yeah, that was dope.
I liked how the transitions into these cool, like, movie-like things. I think Dana hit the nail on the head when he was saying that he was going to make it like a movie. And, I mean, for Mexican Independence Day, it definitely lived up to the hype. If you're a Mexican watching that, you're probably, super grateful that the UFC is willing to do something as great as that. And like I said, I mean, I think Mexican fighters really showed their Mexican spirit in that fight, on that card.
Yeah, and the entire card, man. The entire card, great matches, like I mentioned already. I mean, from the early prelims to the main card, we've seen a lot of, back and forth stuff. I mean, definitely a few fights could have gone down as fight of the night bonus.
Yeah.
And I mean, why not get right into it? Started it off with Raul Rosas Jr. He took on
Arichi Long.
Arichi Long, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I think Raul Rosas he did a lot of wrestling in this matchup, more than I thought he was gonna do. After what we've seen in his last performance, getting a knockout or getting a finish, whatever the case. So I thought he was going to do a little more striking, but after the fight, he went on the mic and said, Dana, 50 G's. Yeah, you're not getting 50 G's for that performance. I mean, it went to a unanimous decision, and it was pretty much a wrestling match from start to finish. But Hunter, what do you think about that, about his performance and that match in general?
I think all of us as fans want to see him, put guys out very early, very quick. But he got the win. As a fan, I'm the type of guy, getting the win really is all that matters. He was busy enough for it to be a fight. And, yeah, I mean, after I don't know if you has seen it, but the post-fight, when he was actually at the pressers, he actually hurt his hand in training. And I don't know if it was exactly a broken hand, but he did have some problems with his hand. I didn't watch the full, first round, but I mean, I see here he outstruck him even with the significance. He didn't get taken down, but Arichilang really didn't shoot. I thought Arichilang did do a good job at stuffing some of the takedowns later in the fight. However, I mean, Raul Rosas, he's 19 years old, man. At this point in his career, really getting wins and, not making it close, in my opinion, is all he really needs to do to just move up the ladder. And I do agree with Dana here. The 50 G's thing was kind of crazy, but as a fighter, who wouldn't want to ask for 50 G's?
I mean, either way, he had the sphere bumping. I mean, he grabbed the mic. He said, "You guys all know what's coming. Let's all say it on a count of 3." He had the entire arena saying "Chiwiwis." So I mean, the dude's doing something right.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I think as he continues to have more matchups and further his record, further the amount of fights he has racked up on his career, I think he's just gonna keep improving. I'm waiting for him. He's kind of like in one of those Paddy the Baddy stages for me. Like first when Paddy came to the UFC, it was kind of like it seemed like he was fighting a bunch of scrubs. But, eventually he made his way up.
He doesn't lose any star power for me. I think in his next fight, he could get a top 15 guy. That bantamweight division is full of killers, though. And as you guys seen in the main event, we got a new champion.
Moving on into this next one, we got Edgar Chairez versus Joshua Vin. And Hunter, this was one of those matchups that, we mentioned was probably going to be one of these, fight of the night potential matchups. And I think it lived up to the hype, in my opinion.
For those of you who don't know, Joshua Vin wasn't actually originally scheduled to fight Chairez. And I knew Joshua Vin, something about him. I mean, just a dog. And I think it was either it might have been the first round. I think it was the second round. Probably one of the greatest rounds of all time. And again, it's just the first example of the Mexicans really showing their pride. Chairez should have been out on multiple occasions, but still continuing to fight, continuing to, get the fight to decision. Joshua Vin, though, getting the job done. It was a phenomenal fight. Both guys left it all on the line there. And this is one of the examples where it could have easily been fight of the night, in my opinion. Moving right on to the third fight of the night. The first woman. It was a Brazil versus Mexican type fight. We had Yasmin Jauregui versus Ketlin Souza. And Ketlin Souza actually got a performance of the night. I'll let you start it up here, D.
The broadcast booth, they mentioned she kind of has the same build as like a Jessica Andrade type fighter. The power in her hands were serious. She hit her with, I don't know, I think it was a check hook. She hit her with it. Jauregui fell to the ground and she jumped on a rear naked.
Rear naked.
Rear naked choke so fast. And she got it done. She looked super, super good. And Jauregui looked pretty good too, man. It's just the power of Ketlin Souza just really showed in that matchup. She got a tough fought victory as well.
I think when you can get outstruck both in the significance and totals and still not only get a finish but get a performance of the night and this was almost in a matter of 3 minutes into a round, almost over 100 strikes in total both women threw in just 3 minutes of the round. When you can do that and still get a finish, still get the bonus, I mean, I think that's very telling. Both women, and again, this was another example of those Mexicans really showing their pride.
The next matchup we got here is another performance of the night bonus winner for Ignacio Bahamondes. He went up against Manuel Torres in, another...
This one didn't even leave the first round either.
And it didn't leave the first round, and dude, it felt like it was in the fifth round, in the first round, because they were just going back and forth. Bahamondes... His striking looks so freaking clean in that fight. His length is a different. It's a handful to deal with in that octagon for any opponent. To be honest.
And just to backpack that point, I mean, Bilal right away got to tweeting best striker in the UFC, and I mean this was a fight that I definitely was excited for. Both guys, really good strikers. A very tough challenge for either of these guys, step into the octagon. I was confident in backing Bahamondes here, but, in the prediction video, which you guys haven't seen, I mean, it's almost like we just got to give those Mexican, fighters that respect that they're always going to be in a fight. However, Bahamondes showed exactly who he was in this fight, and he showed that he's going to be a problem moving forward in this lightweight division, man, and I can't wait to see. I mean, lightweight is so stacked that I'm confident that anyone he gets thrown in there with, it's going to be an absolutely fun fight.
As for Manuel Torres, though, I mean, he got knocked down twice. He showed the heart, as Hunter mentioned, the Mexican heart. But yeah, man, I do think this is good. This was a A tough loss for Manuel because he was kind of on the rise. But as for Ignacio Bahamondes, man, he is a guy you guys are going to want to keep an eye out on. And with that being said, man, I mean, we move into this next matchup up the card, a women's bantamweight division match between Irene Aldana and Norma Dumont. This one was the nastiest matchup. I got to be honest. This one was the grossest matchup to watch. And just to think it went to a unanimous decision is ridiculous in my opinion.
I think Irene Aldana, really got exposed in this fight for kind of being a one-trick pony. And I really backed her up. I think that her game is really just about that power. She's a great boxer, don't get me wrong. I'll never discredit that, but Norma Dumont made her look like she was an amateur, man. I mean, Norma Dumont, I need to put some respect on her name because Norma Dumont, even though she really has any finishes in that bantamweight division, and I was telling myself this the other day, I don't know if you feel the same way, Dana, but I think if you put Norma in there with the likes of Raquel, hell, even Kayla, the way she was striking and the way she was moving,
that was a career performance. We'll put up how Irene's face looked at the end of the fight. So I mean, look right here, but
all her strikes were significant. I think Irene was doing a terrible job of just following instead of cutting off.
100%. And as a boxer, when you think about, the basic stuff of a boxer, you're always taught, make sure you're cutting off your opponent, giving them the ability to kind of circle around and get back to the center of the octagon. Norma was doing that a lot in the matchup, but honestly, man, this, as you said, Lou, this was definitely a put some respect on Norma Dumont's name in that matchup, and
it was another example of Brazil getting the better of Mexico early on in this card. And the call out afterwards was amazing. Mentioning how she's in the top 5 now and she's coming. I'm really excited to see what's next for Norma Dumont. And in this next fight, we got the Lazy Boy versus the Jamaican sensation, Ronaldo Rodriguez versus Ode Osborne. It was an extremely fun fight from start to finish, in my opinion. But, hey, man, I'll let you start it off again, Dana.
Yeah, so honestly, Ronaldo gets the win. Rodriguez gets the win via decision. I do think Ode Osborne, he looked razor sharp. In that first round, I thought it was going to be a one-sided fight.
I thought it was going to be over.
Yeah. The way that Ode was, he looked so much faster. He looked like the cleaner striker. He looked like the more experienced guy in the octagon.
Yeah.
And I just think, as this fight progressed, I think the story of this matchup in particular was the fight of Ronaldo Rodriguez, man. I mean, he got rocked a few times. He got rocked maybe like once or twice, and he stood on his feet. He didn't get knocked down. He figured out a way to, transition into a takedown, get on top of Ode, and by the third round, both guys were tired, but definitely Ode Osborne was the guy that looked more fatigued at that point in time. Ronaldo, figured out a way to get on top and hit some strikes and got the win.
And not only did he, I think the ref was probably a split second away from stopping that fight. And right after that, he gets put into a deep, deep triangle choke that Ode somehow didn't get.
Yeah,
I have no idea how he got out of that, but again, it goes back to what we're saying, these Mexicans, man. And I think that this was an example of the young lion, taking out the wounded lion, the wounded gazelle, if you will. But I mean, again, I kind of feel for Ode in this fight because in his corner, once the third round was coming, his coaches were kind of saying, "This is your career on the line, man." And as Dana here said, that grappling just kind of exhausted him, and you could tell Ronaldo was a much more experienced guy that drills that grappling much more than Ode does.
I wouldn't mind seeing Ode fight again, against another guy in the division. I don't know who they would put him up against, but yeah, I think it's a big win. It's a big win for Ronaldo, and he's gonna have a
Mexico got a new star.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys, and in this next matchup, Daniel Zellhuber versus Esteban Ribovic. Crazy match, man. I mean, fight of the night, won the award, went to a split decision, and honestly, it really could have. I mean, this was
there was no losers.
Yeah,
there was 0 losers.
Yeah.
I think what I can say about this fight, before we give their guys their flowers, really is just I think Zellhuber's biggest mistake, that ultimately got him hurt was staying in the pocket with such a shorter guy. I don't know why. I mean, don't get me wrong, man. This fight was everything a fight fan could ever want and more. I think both guys showed their toughness. Del Huber, for one, was a zombie for about the last 3 minutes of the fight, and somehow, I mean, he wasn't even getting shots thrown at him, and he's still bobbing and weaving, bobbing and weaving. And I mean, Esteban Ribovic just showed how great he can be in the striking. This did go to a split decision, which was kind of surprising to me. However, because I did think Ribovic, with the damage that he put on Zellhuber, did enough. However, like I said, I didn't think there was any losers in this.
Zellhuber hit, at one point, he hit a spinning back fist, I think it was. And it ended up rocking Esteban as well. So, I do think, this was as close of a fight that it probably could have got. I do think that Esteban's striking was the cleaner in the fight. He just looked more powerful as well. And, when I think about the power of, the Argentinian Dagger as, Santiago Ponzinibbio, I kind of see shades of him in Esteban Ribovic. And, yeah, man, I just think it was a super clean performance for him. And I think that matchup right there was kind of the thing that is going to put him on the radar of a lot of these, casual fans that maybe they saw the fight and they're going to be like, okay, this guy's the truth. He beat a guy like Zellhuber, which I think, in my opinion, before this matchup, I was thinking Zellhuber was going to be, the next big thing in that lightweight division with his size, the reach advantage he's going to have over most guys in that division. But, yeah, man, Ribovic gets a big, big win versus a highly touted guy.
Gringo.
Eric Nixick is the coach of Zellhuber, so, that's a feather in the cap that we're going to have to remember moving forward for Esteban.
I mean, stars were born. Stars were born in that octagon. When push comes to shove, it's going to show who's willing to dig deep, and I think both guys definitely showed that. Ribovic, with the amount of shots that he threw, I'm surprised he didn't gas out.
Yeah.
But, just to conclude...
He actually, on that note, he did kind of gas out a little bit.
Seemed like he slowed down a little bit.
And there was a point in time in the fight, I think it was in the third round, where Zellhuber was really badly hurt, and it looked like it could have got stopped if Esteban would have hit maybe a few more strikes clean. But it just seemed like he started throwing crazy hooks, and at one point, he threw maybe 100 strikes at once. Maybe not 100 strikes, probably like 50 total strikes in the span of like 20 seconds, and barely any of them hit because Zellhuber was doing all this parrying stuff. So I mean, either way, like you said, Lou, there's not a loser in this matchup in my opinion. I think Zellhuber will come back stronger than this, or stronger from this, and I think Esteban Ribovic is on a good track in that lightweight division. And the next highly anticipated matchup that we had on the card. Brian Ortega T-City taking on Diego Lopez. This one was another fight of the night performance, or fight of the night contender in my opinion. Diego Lopez.
More performance.
Yeah, more performance. True, more performance. This was a huge, meteoric level fight for Diego Lopez and a meteoric win after he just fought Danny Ige, got the win on however many hours' notice. Now he gets the original fight that he wanted in T-City, gets it done, unanimous decision.
I mean, the durability of Brian Ortega needs to be studied, man. I mean, it's crazy how he can get hurt so early, so often, and hurt so much in fights and continuously, march forward and be able to stick in fights. Well, first I want to mention how Diego Lopez looked great. He looked like he was being patient when he knocked him down. He looked like he wasn't trying to charge in there. And T-City was throwing up some... I mean, I think 1 or 2 inches more into his guard, he probably could have gotten, that T-City signature, triangle choke. But Lopez, one thing to keep in mind, he is the head coach of jiu-jitsu at his gym. The very well-renowned gym now, with Alexa Grasso, names like that. But... I'm really impressed, man. I'm not surprised, with the performance and the outcome. However, I think one thing that I will say is in the second round, it seemed like he did get a little bit tired, and that's when Ortega did see some success, working some combos, starting it off with a jab. And because he slowed down a little bit, he wasn't as fast and sharp with the strikes, because he had so much output and he was kind of just going ham. That's when Ortega did have some success, but yet again, I mean, Lopez, that's when he just started throwing these nasty leg kicks, just nasty leg kicks to the point where it even almost knocked him down. He had to switch stances. And then in that third round, I mean, that's when it just... I mean, he became a star, and he's now going to be in the top 3. And I just know Movsar Evloev is going to be praying to get that fight again, even though Diego Lopez was still calling him out all this time. I know Movsar is definitely going to be trying to, especially now because as of today, Aldo just put out their fight at UFC 307. And I hope Diego doesn't take that fight. I think he does deserve some time off. However, either way, next time he steps to the octagon,
I really don't think Diego needs to. Honestly, he's got the position advantage in the PR. I think he sits, enjoys this win. Brainstorm, because potentially, depending on what happens in that Max Holloway versus Ilia Topuria fight, man. I mean, this featherweight division has got some interesting things that can happen for it. But yeah, man, Diego Lopez, what a win for him. We move on up the card into the co-main event.
I mean, I'll be honest, in this fight, I don't want to talk about the main event too much so soon, but I think this was kind of telling, in my opinion. I think it was definitely showing as far as... I think it's safe to say in the stand-up, if Valentina wants to just stand with Alexa Grasso, she can get picked apart. Alexa will definitely find her openings, but we've seen in this fight that even though Alexa tapped her out, she caught her in a bad position in that first fight, and I don't want to call what Alexa has done over the course of these last 2 fights that they had a fluke. However, I do think that Valentina, had she game planned a little bit better like she did in this fight, she would have won. And although it was boring to most, I'll just finish with this. For these championship fights, these great fighters are going to do what they have to do. And say what you want, but Alexa Grasso couldn't move. And whether you like it or not, that takes skill.
Alexa was trying, man. I mean, she got taken down, and still, she was trying to throw up submissions. There was a few times where Alexa almost got her caught in, some triangle positions, or maybe, she had... I don't think she had her back at all, actually. But, she definitely had a few armbar. She had a Kimura attempt. But 16 minutes of control time for Valentina Shevchenko. And, that's 3 full rounds of control time plus some change on top of that. So, I mean, when you got 16 minutes of control time, it's a pretty one-sided fight, in my opinion. Yeah, man, Valentina and New, she moves back into that, boogie woman position in that division.
And pound-for-pound queen.
Yep.
Which I just want to say real quick, I think Weili is absolutely getting robbed by that, considering that she hasn't lost. However, I won't down-talk Valentina's greatness. Just my opinion.
Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Merab Dvalishvili. And New, man, Merab Dvalishvili, I'll let Hunter break this entire thing down. It doesn't have to be something, crazy long, because it was extremely one-sided in this matchup. Hunter, what do you got on this match for Merab?
I mean, Merab, man, it's a beautiful thing because, most fans would predict, obviously, Merab has a fan base of his own, but most, fans of MMA, I'd say most fans would predict O'Malley, knocking him out, finding a way to land the big strike. However, Merab just, what's the word I'm looking for here? Merab just shut him down, man. I mean, Merab showed exactly why his wrestling Merab showed why his cardio and having a cardio that is unlimited will win you any fight. And I mean, granted, styles make matchups. Obviously, it's a lot harder to get a guy that much smaller than you to, get off you sort of like a fly. But, I mean, Merab outstruck him. The significance were a little bit closer. And in my opinion, I do think that Sean had some success. Obviously in that 5th round, he hurt him to the body pretty well. I think some people were saying that the 3rd round was close to Sugar. And I get that the output as far as striking definitely matters. But for me, as a fan, I think that control time and wrestling is very important. Although some people might not do much with it, I do think that dominant positions should be scored very highly because it's not easy to get somebody in that position. And
especially someone like a Sean O'Malley.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
The way that Merab did that, I mean, yeah, call it what you want. It was a boring fight. Call it what you want, but in general, this was probably one of Merab's most dominant matchups, to be honest, and it was in the biggest matchup of his career. against a guy like Sugar Sean O'Malley, who's a sniper. A lot of people were saying, "Oh, Merab's dumb for showing his cut and showing that he's injured or whatever." Sean O'Malley didn't touch Merab to the head. I mean,
he did cut his nose early, but that was about it.
But besides that, I mean, the majority of the damage that Merab took was only in the 5th round. In the 5th round, I mean, you seen O'Malley, he was trying for the body shots, and maybe that ended up leading to, Merab taking that shot, a little tougher in that 5th round, but yeah, I don't think it was that difficult for Merab.
Yeah, and one thing I want to mention too, I think body language plays a huge part. And although Sean, he was sticking in the fight, still throwing strikes, I think if you don't agree with me here, I think you're just extremely biased. Sean looked dead. He was flat-footed from the 3rd round on for the rest of that fight. And, even in that last takedown that Merab got, Sean just let it happen. It just seemed like he was just giving up, getting taken down. And that's what I think, plays a big part as well. Body language, for me, is a major, major, major thing as far as, looking like who's more in control. Merab, the whole fight just seemed like he was just bouncing around. I'm not sure how he really got stunned to the body there. I mean, Sugar, just precision, accuracy. And I do think that Sugar, when you had him on the cage, that's when he could find, open up these strikes. But he was just so tired, man, because of the pace of Merab that...
Lou, 16 takedown attempts.
Yeah.
When you got someone shooting 16 takedown attempts on you, I mean...
he's still not tired.
Super happy for Merab, man. What a guy to get it done.
And now Merab, I believe, is ranked in the top 5 pound for pound.
Wow.
No, he's number 7 actually, but avenging his friend in Aljo, getting that title back to that Ray Longo camp.
Wow, he's above Tom Aspinall. That is crazy.
Well, when you consider the fact that
actually he's beat some.
Yeah, he's beat formidable names, and now he's on an 11-fight win streak.
Yeah.
I mean, that's four. I believe it's either 3 or 4. Now 4 champions in a row that he's beat, and it all started with Petr Yan. I love the Umar versus Merab fight. I think that's gonna be awesome. I don't like the way he kind of reacted after the fight. He mentioned in the pressers that he doesn't think that Umar deserves this, but say what you want. Umar's the number 2 ranked guy. He's 17-0 now, so he's definitely gonna have to fight next for that belt. We got Petr versus Figgy. That's happening, I think, in December, so that's gonna be something to look out for. But hey, man, we got a new king of the bantamweights.
As for Sean O'Malley, man, I mean, I would love to see Sean O'Malley go against like a Corey Sandhagen.
I think that's the fight to make. Even
Corey Sandhagen versus
called
O'Malley.
him out. Yeah, Corey called him out.
Corey
too.
versus O'Malley. That's a sick matchup, and that puts Corey right back in the position to go.
Which is what fans want as well. A lot of fans discredited Corey for taking a fight with Umar, but Corey, if you don't know him, just the type of guy to take on any challenge, just prove everybody wrong that he is that good. But yeah, I think that's the next step for Sugar Show. And I don't know if you've seen this or if you guys seen this, but Sean actually tore his labrum. So he's going to be out for at least 6 to 12 months. That sucks a little bit, so that might halt that Sandman fight back because he has been out for a little while. However, the division is moving, as I mentioned. Figgy versus Jan's happening later this year. That's going to be interesting, man. Bantamweight's a fun division. Before we finish up here, I want to ask, what was your favorite fight of the night?
I think I'm going to go Bahamundes, man. That honestly might have been my favorite fight. In terms of performance-wise, I think Norma Dumont, she's the one that jumps off the page for me, and actually, damn, Ribovic, bro, the way that he beat Zellhuber, I mean, it is a split decision, but yeah, I mean, it was a great card. It was a great freaking card, and to put the cherry on top, it was in the Las Vegas Sphere, so I think it was a great card. Those are my I know I said 3 matchups, but those ones were my favorites.
Listen, man, you guys are going to hate me, but I think Merab being able to do what he did against the best guy in the world is so telling. And a lot of people say that fight was boring, but he dominated, man. That just reminded me, obviously not with the ground and pound and things like that. I will say that fight is a close second. I won't say it was my favorite because you guys will chew me in the comments. But my favorite fight was easily Joshua Van versus Edgar Chairez. I mean, the way that both of those guys, as I mentioned, that second round was probably the greatest round I've ever personally seen. I mean, Edgar, I thought he was out 2-3 times. That's true. Then Joshua Van, and he was an underdog and he was a late replacement. This guy was supposed to fight Matt Schnell 2 weeks ago, and then now he wasn't even supposed to fight Chira. Steps up late notice. I mean, but there's really no wrong choice as far as picking the best fight here. This was an amazing card. I enjoyed watching it. I enjoyed breaking this down. Always enjoy being next to Dana D, the man, the myth, the legend. And I mean, man, it's a blessing to be here. What a great card it was. Any last thoughts?
No, man. I think that pretty much sums it up. Definitely, if you guys haven't ever watched UFC, a card, make sure you guys tune in for the next one. The next big card we have is going to be UFC 307. It's going to be Alex Poatan Pereira going up against Khalil Rountree, and he's going to be defending his light heavyweight champion. Raquel Pennington's going to be defending her bantamweight champion against the Venezuelan vixen Juliana Pena. And then before that, we have a fight night with Benoit Saint Denis taking on Renato Moicano. And that one's going to be in Paris, man. That place is going to be jumping. We got Nasruddin Imavov on that card as well. Taking on Brendan Allen. That's going to be a big one. And, yeah, it's if you haven't watched UFC, make sure you tune in. It's the best sport, in the world right now.
Great time to be a fan.
And, yeah, man, super, super good time to be a fan. We hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you guys leave it a like, leave a subscribe. And if you enjoy videos like this, man, leave us in the comments what other type of things you guys want to see from us. And make sure you guys go like the gym video we're going to be putting out very, very shortly. So we'll see you guys in the next one. As always, this has been YoBroKO. We out, man. Peace.